Hey, so today I learned from family that one of my grandma, my late paternal grandmother, Nine Eyes, um, her best friend who lived in Beijing and who housed us uh, when I was very young, like 5. Um, back back then in 1995, and so that's how old I am. Back in 1995, where we immigrated, well, my mother and I immigrated to Canada, and then we had to travel to Beijing first to take the flight, a transfer flight there to Toronto. And so she housed us, and I remember her making us porridge and with I think it was like some kind of Beijing style ground meat and vegetables, and she made us dinner that night, and then we slept over, and then we took a flight, I think the next day, my mother and I, and she was actually my grandma's best friend, and like my grandma passed away a long time ago, 10 plus years ago, maybe 20 plus years ago, or maybe not that long ago, but quite a long time ago, paternal, and now before the Chinese New Year, on the 12th, I think. So we just heard that she passed today, and I think her family members didn't want to tell us prior to the celebrations for Chinese New Year, and so it was very sad to hear, but also um, she lived to a grand old age as well, maybe 90, I think. So thinking about death more and more recently, and how, because I also made a new friend, so to speak, and the same woman, older woman that I met a long time ago, and she told me how she wished she worked in a hospice, or she was telling me how she wanted to be in medicine and how her daughter is in medicine as like some kind of in a nursing capacity, I think, like a nurse somewhere, not nursing, but like yeah, nurse, as a nurse in a hospital. But she herself wanted to be in medicine, and isn't. So she was telling me how she always thought about wanting to work for like in that capacity, which is great. And she herself reminded me of various. I'm very thankful in terms of befriending people who I feel very connected to, and then in various synchronicities joining us together in a friend capacity, and me thinking about how grateful I am to meet the women that I do get to meet in daily life, and how it's always a very precious experience, because I tend to bond better with people who are older than me and not my age. I'm not sure what that is, and then I bond better with women in general than men. Nothing wrong with men though, but in an emotional capacity, there is just so much more. I don't want to say depth. Yes, depth there, and I can learn from people like that so much more, because they will be my experience regardless of race, class. So this Emily Dickinson poem I just found, thinking about this and feeling a bit heavy-hearted recently. Passing of, it's always like that during festivity periods and Valentine's Day, which I usually don't celebrate. I had a student, she told me it was a Galentine's Day. She celebrated Galentine, gal, like as in celebrating girls' day, girls' night, sleepover kind of thing. It's very, I was like, wow, that is great. That is something we gals who are single should take into consideration. Galentine's Day. So it's called Promise This When You Be Dying, and it really echoes my sentiments, and to improv it. So there's a kind of immortality that seeps through, and this kind of feeling of not wanting to be left behind and wanting to just kind of forever yours again mentality of the heart. Like this, my whole libation, just that you see, bliss of death, life's bliss, extol, imitating you, to guard your narrow precinct, to seduce the sun, longest yourself to linger, nor just do some Morn. to supplicate Madonna could behold so far a creature Christ omitted just to follow your teaching. There's so far behind, glad I not be instead of denied. And so I am on a blogging Dickinson blogspot, and then they kind of wrote it out in prose. And so he or she, I'm not sure the author, wrote, "Promise me when you are dying you will send someone to get me so that I may hear your last sigh, so I may be the one to close your eyes for the last time with my lips when everyone else has wandered. I will stay and surrender completely to you, which will in turn restore my life and give life to you. My whole being will be poured into you like a libation to the gods, so that dying will seem like bliss to you because you are seeing yourself reflected in my love." This kind of gist.